The village of Redacre had grown silent. A strange quiet pressed against the homes and alleys like thick fog. People walked with hunched shoulders, avoiding one another's eyes. Markets slowed. Laughter stopped. It was as if the world itself sensed something had shifted, and not for the better. Father Elton had taken to walking the village more often. He stopped outside homes and whispered blessings under his breath, made the sign of the cross over doorways, and quietly handed out rosaries to trembling hands. No one mocked him anymore. But they still didn't understand. It was on one of these walks that Sister Aldora met him, rushing up the chapel steps, face pale. "Elton," she said quickly, "we've just received a messenger from the Northern Abbey." Brother Cyprian collapsed during prayer. "Collapsed?" Elton asked, heart sinking. He had been fasting for days, for the sake of the village. He went silent during Compline. When they found him, he was murmuring prayers in Latin, tears streaming down his face. Without delay, Elton mounted a horse and rode for the abbey. Brother Cyprian lay on a simple cot, face calm, hands folded over a wooden rosary. His lips moved still, soft, broken phrases of the Psalms in Latin. A few monks knelt beside him, silently praying the divine office. The prior turned to Elton. "He is not awoken, but his soul is at peace. We believe he was spiritually struck, opposed perhaps by something unseen, but we know who he belongs to." Elton knelt beside the monk and bowed his head. "Thank you, Lord," he whispered, "for raising up your servants to suffer for your people." They did not weep. They simply kept praying. By evening, Elton returned to Redacre. The road home was dim. Clouds rolled overhead, darker than usual. No birds sang. He stepped into the chapel just as Sister Aldora was lighting the candles for evening prayer. "Is he all right?" she asked. "He is." "Touched by grace," Elton said. "God protects his own," but his voice was heavy. He walked slowly to the sanctuary and knelt before the crucifix. "Why are they still blind, Lord?" he whispered aloud. "How long must they wait to see the danger?" Hayden appeared the next morning. He leaned against the chapel doorway while Elton polished a chalice. "I heard about the monk," he said. "Word spreads fast when it's about the holy." Elton looked up but said nothing. Hayden continued, "I'll admit, I don't know what to make of all this. I see the fear in my men. I see the confusion in the people. And I know you're not wrong. Not anymore." Elton stood still, waiting. "I've seen you fight," Hayden added, "with just your voice and a crucifix. I'd call it madness if I didn't see it work." "You've seen the fruits," Elton said gently. "Now listen to the truth." Hayden smiled faintly and stepped inside. "I'm here, aren't I?" But he said nothing more. No confession, no questions, just observation. That was enough for now. The following day, Elton led the rosary publicly in the town square. To his surprise, dozens gathered. Some came out of reverence, some out of curiosity. Others came because they were simply afraid. The words floated gently over the crowd. "Ave Maria, gratia plena." Children clutched their mothers. Older men wept quietly. Nuns in white habits encircled the edges of the square like sentinels of prayer. And then, something unexplainable happened. The wind shifted. It wasn't harsh. It was fragrant, cool, and pure. The scent of lilies filled the air. The clouds above seemed to split slightly, allowing a warm beam of light to pass through and land upon the cross Elton held. Even Hayden, watching from a distance, lowered his eyes. That night, Hayden joined Elton beneath the stars. "You really believe this war is more than what we see?" Hayden asked, his arms folded. "I know it," Elton replied. Hayden chuckled. "You always answer with certainty. I answer with faith." There was a pause. Hayden sat beside him on the chapel steps. "I've fought in dozens of wars. I've seen cruelty, blood, betrayal, but I've never seen fear like this. The kind that makes men tremble just standing still. Because this battle isn't for land," Elton said. "It's for souls." Hayden was quiet. Then he said, "I'm not perfect, but I'm not one of them, Father." Elton turned his gaze to him. "No one is perfect, but we must choose which side we're really on." Hayden nodded, expression unreadable. Well then, let's see what comes next. The next morning, the village awoke to something chilling. Figures stood at the edge of the trees, shadowed and tall. Their bodies were veiled in smoke. They did not speak or move. They simply watched. They were visible now, to everyone. Panic spread, but Elton stood firm. He walked out before them, crucifix held high. Crux sacra sit mihi lux, non draco sit mihi dux. The demons hissed, low guttural sounds, but did not approach. They twisted and writhed at the edge of the clearing, then vanished into the mist. The people stared in shock. Elton turned back to them. The veil is not just thinning, he said. It is breaking, but do not fear. God has not left us. That afternoon, Hayden called a private meeting with his commanders. He allowed Elton to speak before the men. The tension in the tent was thick. We are not fighting mere rebels or traitors, Elton said. We are fighting spirits of darkness, enemies of God who have taken flesh to corrupt the earth. A few scoffed. Hayden silenced them with a glance. These demons enter through sin, Elton continued. They hide in men who have unconfessed guilt. But those who stand in God's grace will not fall. One soldier asked, then what of those who pretend to stand in grace? Elton's gaze swept the room slowly. God knows every heart, and soon all will be revealed. Hayden did not speak. He simply folded his arms and said, then we make our alliance, the priests and the crusaders. Together, Elton nodded, and just like that, the lines were drawn. That night, Father Elton prayed in silence as thunder rolled in the distance. The next phase had begun, and war would come not just with swords, but with fire, light, and the full armor of God.